back there doing it together, and he just sort of grew up under the Motown banner. And while most people think that he had no fun in his childhood, he did a lot that brought joy to him.
But with Michael and the rest of the Jackson 5 maturing musically as well as physically, they felt stifled and blamed their declining success on Motown's refusal to grant them creative control. In 1975, they made the move to CBS. After another 3 years of touring and recording with the Jacksons, Michael was ready for his next big adventure when he got the call from his former landlady and ex-Motown stablemate, Diana Ross. Diana had been cast as Dorothy in the big screen version of the Broadway musical The Wiz. Directed by Sidney Lumet and set in New York City, it was to be an all-black reworking of the 1939 adaptation of Frank Baum's Wizard of Oz. Signing on to play the brainless Scarecrow, it gave Michael a chance to flex his acting muscles. It also introduced him to arranger, composer, and producer extraordinaire Quincy Jones. Quincy had been so impressed with Michael's dedication to nailing the graceful moves of the Scarecrow in The Wiz that when he got the call to co-produce the young singer's next album, he jumped at the chance. The result of their first collaboration was the 1979 smash Off the Wall, which had one reviewer hailing Michael as probably the best singer in the world right now in terms of style and technique. Rolling Stone magazine pronounced Michael's feathery, timbered tenor extraordinarily beautiful. Michael wrote 3 songs on the album, including the #1 single, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. Other songs were provided by Paul McCartney and fellow former child star Stevie Wonder, who co-wrote I Can't Help It. The album's title song and the hit Rock With You were penned by British songwriter Rod Temperton. Off the Wall became the first album by a solo artist to generate 4 U.S. top 10 hits, and has since gone on to sell over 20 million copies worldwide. At 21 years old, Michael Jackson had mastered the transition from cute child prodigy to full-blown pop superstar. Now he was public property. Everywhere he went, people loved him, and Michael loved them right back.
Those years, we could hang out, and we could go to things together, like see The Wiz and see on Broadway. He liked Stephanie Mills and The Wiz. And, watch the kids come up to him and all want the autographs. And I would say, why don't you just sign, MJ instead of Michael Jackson, just the way Andy Warhol always signs everything at AW. He says, oh, no, I could never do that. These are my fans. These people make me. And he was so darling and sincere and sweet in those years.
Some loved him for his music. For others, it was his dancing. But for so many more fans, it was Michael Jackson's importance as a role model that earned their admiration. For thousands of African Americans, his incredible mainstream success turned him into an ambassador for race relations.
By Off the Wall, he was doing amazingly well, and that was his first cover of Rolling Stone, and we were breaking barriers. It was very hard to get someone who wasn't white on the cover of magazines or even MTV.
Mobbed by fans wherever he went, people of all colors were chanting his name in the streets, queuing for hours for a glimpse of him, then fainting at the sight of him. With Michael egging them on, they would even chase him across highways. Children from every corner of the globe wanted to sing like him, dress like him, and dance like him. But there could only ever be one Michael Jackson, and in 1982, he was on the verge of boldly going where no other entertainer had ever gone before. First up, he was asked to contribute a theme song to Steven Spielberg's blockbuster children's fantasy, E.T. Michael duly came up with Someone in the Dark. Although it didn't end up in the movie, the song appeared on the storybook for the film, which won a Grammy Award for Best Album for Children. Whatever had come before in Michael's illustrious career would be remembered as merely a warm-up act to the release of his next project. On November the 30th, 1982, the world was introduced to the album that would go down in history as the biggest seller of all time. Thriller, his second collaboration with Quincy Jones, was the result of Michael's determination to create the perfect record. Locked away in Westlake Studios in L.A. with a production budget of $750,000, they emerged with an album that would spend 37 weeks at the top of Billboard charts and would spawn an unprecedented 7 top 10 singles.
I remember not getting my platinum album for singing on PYT, singing the backgrounds on that. Yeah, it was great. What I really remember, though, from Thriller was being in Mike's car and him playing me the entire album. Whenever he would finish a project, he'd share it with me because we were like this growing up. And I remember loving each and every song. I was just, 16, something like that.
But the jewel in the Thriller crown was the 14-minute video to the album's title track. Inspired by B-grade zombie movies and directed by horror supremo John Landis, the short film featured barrier-breaking special effects and debuted the formation dancing that was to become just one of Michael's signatures. With the album selling in excess of 1 million copies a month, Michael was hailed as the savior of the flagging music industry, as well as a champion for racial equality. Music channel MTV, notorious for its neglect of African-American musicians, was forced to play the Thriller video clip twice an hour to cope with viewer demand. Then there were the awards. As well as an incredible 7 Grammys, Michael took out a total of 8 American Music Awards, the Special Award of Merit, and 3 MTV Music Awards.
I saw him for many years. I saw the off-the-wall success and the Thriller success, the super success. Before that, we had other going places. We had other records and parties at Studio 54. But with Thriller, every barrier was broken. Stadiums all over the world were sold out. It became the biggest record of all time.
According to journalist and biographer J. Randy Taraborelli, Thriller stopped selling like a leisure album and began selling like a household staple. It also spawned a bonanza in merchandising sales. Alongside Michael Jackson dolls, T-shirts, and other memorabilia, there were millions to be made from sales of the making of Michael Jackson's Thriller documentary. The so-called one-man rescue team for the music business even had future President George Bush eating out of his gloved hand.
It was fantastic. The 80s were fantastic. It's probably as good as our record business will ever be. I mean, on that basis. Number one, for many reasons, because of vinyl. People would wear vinyl out. They had to go buy 2 and 3 copies. I was lucky. I had the 2 best engineers on the planet, Phil Ramone and Bruce Swedien, and they had they had minors in music. They were both musical and technical sonic minds. And to this day, every city I go to in the world, Shanghai, Shenzhen, wherever, Rio, Cairo, at that magic hour, I hear those records. Don't stop till you get enough from 30 years ago, and it blows my mind. It really does. But it's all the songs and Michael's talent and the production and everything else, but sonically, it's hard to beat.
Without doubt, Thriller owed much of its phenomenal success to Michael's dazzling performance in the famous 1983 television special to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Motown. Ironically, however, it almost didn't happen.
We were doing the TV show, and the word came back that Michael couldn't do it because he was doing too much television. And I called Michael up and I said, Michael, I know you and you know me, and you know this television show is not a television show. This is Motown 25. And he said, I'll be there. And he came there, and then he did the moonwalk.